let me just do a quick overview of what the class is all about, the schedule, and then we'll take time for your questions. So this is the Regenerative Gardening and Living class. It starts next week, January 22nd. The class is going to run for 7 weeks. And over those 7 weeks, we're going to be meeting every week on Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we're also going to meet 3 times on a Saturday. If you're in LA, you can join us for the in-person outdoor garden workshops. So if you're in LA, you can sign up for that. If you're going to be joining us purely online, then we have a recorded version of those sessions that is going to be sent to you. So you won't miss any of the content. You'll still get to experience the gardens that we're going to visit and learn all the materials. So you can take this course purely online, and then the other option is if you're in LA, you can join us for the 3 Saturday sessions. And they're going to be held at 3 different gardens on different sides of Los Angeles. We're trying to keep it kind of flexible for everyone. The first garden is going to be on the east side of LA County in Pomona. Second one in Highland Park, close to downtown, and then the third one in West Los Angeles in Venice. So what is this course all about? That's probably the question that you want to have answered the most, right? And the title again is Regenerative Gardening and Living. So really what we found in Kiss the Ground as we're doing our outreach and education is that people want to know how they can take the principles of the principles of regeneration and apply them to their own lives, in their personal lives, wherever they are. So many of you, if you're following Kiss the Ground, you probably understand what regenerative agriculture is and some of the practices behind regenerative agriculture, things like managed grazing of livestock, things like cover crops, things like compost teas. So these are some of the practices which are used in regenerative agriculture. But how do those apply to us, right? Is it just about gardening? We can't, obviously we can't manage, large herds of cattle in our backyards, but how can we take some of those same ideas, right? And the ideas behind regeneration is that one of the key ideas is that we can heal, that land can heal. And so how do we help land heal in our urban areas, in our suburban areas, in our backyards? And also, how can we ourselves find the same healing that we want for the land, right? Because we ourselves, we have, as a society, have such high levels of anxiety, depression. We're worried about climate change, how we can contribute to that, or maybe how we're currently negatively impacting the earth, right? That's the idea that we have. And we've been kind of fed this message that all we can do is impact the earth negatively less, right? That's what we've been told. So a lot of what environmentalism has been about for the past 50 years, right, has been about reducing our impact, reducing our presumed negative impact. So, if you grew up as an environmentalist, or you consider yourself an environmentalist, which I have for myself for many years as well, some of the things that you might try to do with your day, right? Or not do, I guess. You're probably thinking about driving less, taking shorter showers, eating less meat, eating less packaged food, and so we're always in this sustainability mindset. We're always thinking about how we can do less, right? And we're actually telling ourselves this message that we need to make ourselves smaller, that we need to make our impact smaller, because the assumption is that the only way that we can impact the earth, the only way that we can have a relationship with the earth is a negative way, in a negative way, right? Like, every time we eat, that's, you know, the food that we eat has released carbon dioxide. Every time we drink water, that water is being pumped from some river or for some aquifer, and we're depleting that aquifer. Every time we take a shower, it's the same thing. Every time we literally, you know, every time we take a shit, we're polluting the oceans. Like that's how we think. So all we can think is how can we do less? And what regeneration is about, you know, what regenerative agriculture is about, but more broadly, what regeneration is about is flipping that script and saying, no, the only, you know, it's not that I can only have a negative relationship with the earth. It's not that every time I drink water, I'm negatively affecting the earth. We're flipping that completely because we're changing our view and we're coming into a new understanding, and we're saying, hey, actually, there's all of this with every action that I take. You know, if I understand how the earth systems work, I can actually make each of my actions beneficial to the world that I am part of, this earth that I am part of, that I must make an impact on. If I, you know, I have to make an impact. So if I'm gonna make an impact, how do I make that impact one of caring, nurturing, and love, and get into a relationship of mutual nourishing with the soil that I walk on, with the trees that I live under, the trees that give me fruit, with the plants that give me vegetables, with the animals that I live with. You know, how can I have a mutually nourishing relationship with them? And so we have to understand that we have to start with this understanding that we can have a beneficial impact on every being that we live with. So, you know, maybe that's not something that you've been taught, maybe that's not something you believe, but that's an idea that we will explore, and hopefully you'll come to understand and bring that into yourself. Because if we just act from this point of view of minimization and making ourselves small, making ourselves zero, you know, zero waste, zero impact, zero footprint, zero carbon, if that's all we ever think about, then it's really gonna, you know, we're telling ourselves all these negative messages that all I can do is make myself less. That, you know, honestly, the final idea behind all that is, it's better if I didn't exist. You know, that's the message that we're telling ourselves. It's better if I didn't exist. For the earth, it's better if I didn't exist. So that, I'm telling you that that's not the case. And okay, so you do exist, you're always gonna exist. How do we make your relationship one of nourishing and care? And again, the course is called Regenerative Gardening and Living. And so we're going to start by learning about gardening, because gardening is a garden is a microcosm of the world, and it's a way that we can see on a very basic level, on a very core level, how the earth actually functions. What are the relationships between the beings that live on this earth? And I love the garden because it's a very unfiltered view. You know, especially when we live in urban areas, even if we live in rural areas now, there's all these layers of separation, or seemingly layers of separation between us and the soil. You know, we might spend a lot of our time in cars, we might spend a lot of time indoors in climate controlled environments, and so you have a little bit of a difficulty understanding how the earth functions. We kind of hear about how the earth functions on it from a third person view, you know, through science or through classes or through, you know, other people who supposedly study the earth, geologists, biologists, chemists, physicists. We hear how the world works through this third person. And so the garden really gives you that firsthand experience where you can actually start to filter out some of the, you know, honestly, some of the crap that our society feeds us, and get a real, just right in front of your face, okay, how does this work? Let me understand this. So that is, again, one of the core ideas behind this class. We're going to start with gardening, okay? Because gardening, we physically get to see these processes in action. We physically get to see these ideas play out and how we can contribute to them. So just to give you one example, a lot of what I'll talk about during the class is changing some of the vocabulary that we use, some of the words that we use, because I've found through my experience gardening that a lot of the words that we use aren't actually, those concepts aren't real. They don't actually exist. So one of my favorite ones to start with is this idea of waste. Okay, we use this word kind of all the time in our society. We have food waste, we have wastewater, we have human waste, we have animal waste, we tell someone, oh, you're a waste of a human being, you're a waste of breath, you're a waste of space. This land is this space is a, there's no point to this soil. This soil is a waste. This soil is trash. This garden is trash. I need new dirt. I need better dirt. I need better soil. We're just constantly throwing out this negativity of, this idea of waste, that something can have no value, or something that has just a purely negative value. We take you take the whole onion and you cut the tops off, you peel the skin off, and that becomes food waste, something that has a negative value. Well, that once you start composting, you realize that onion skin doesn't have a negative value. It's a contribution that the onion is making. It's a gift that the onion is offering. The first gift of the onion is the food that you eat. The second gift of the onion is that skin, that peel, that's going to go back into your garden and renew the soil in your garden if you put it there. If you put it in the trash, then it's going to go and it's going to make methane in a landfill. But if you put it in the compost, it's now a gift. It's an offering that the onion the onion has. And not just that, it's these, from what I've come to understand, is it's not just that we have this concept of waste. We're actually the gift of the food waste, the gift of the human waste, is actually what connects us to all the beings around us. It's our offering that we give to others, and that's a mutually beneficial relationship that we're entering into. I eat the onion, I give the onion peel back to the soil. The soil becomes healthier. It grows, more onions and more tomatoes and more trees and produces plants that are cleaning the air and that are generating rain and all of these wonderful cascading, spiraling effects. So that's the relationship that we want to enter into. So we're going to talk a lot about these broader ideas of regeneration. We're also going to get into some of the more nitty-gritty details of the practices, some of the practices that might make up regenerative gardening. So I'll go over quickly the curriculum and some of the core subject matters. Before that, I'd also want to mention, so when you sign up for the course, you're going to get from me I believe it's an 88-page curriculum document that has everything that we'll be covering in the course. So, honestly, like, that document is probably worth the sign up, the fee of the course in itself. It's very dense with, material, with all the kind of gardening knowledge that I have collected and am able to transmit. So you're gonna get that document to start with, and then the course itself. Okay, so we're gonna spend 7 classroom sessions, the 7 core subjects that we go over during the classroom sessions. Number 1, the core principles and ideas of regeneration. So that first day, we're gonna be going deeper into some of these kind of philosophical ideas that I've just mentioned right now. Then the second day and the second and the third day, actually, we're going to spend understanding soil, because obviously soil is key to gardening, soil is key to farming, soil is the skin of the earth, and that is one of the main beings that we're trying to regenerate. We're trying to regenerate soil so that, imagine if you started losing your skin, how would you feel? And that's basically how the earth is feeling right now. It's unprotected. It's losing its soil. It's losing its trees. So it's like if I were to shave my head and then start. I know this is kind of graphic, but if I start losing my skin, what's that going to do to me? So we're gonna work to regenerate that skin, that surface covering of the earth, with learning about soil regeneration. So we spend 2 days in class learning about soil and soil regeneration practices. Then we're going to have our first Saturday garden session. Again, if you're in LA, you can join in person. If you're going to be joining the class online, then you're going to get a online version of that class. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording that online version for you guys. We started yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We're recording these 3 sessions. So we're trying to make those really high quality for those of you that are joining online. I'm speaking directly to the camera. All of these videos are going to be for the online audience. So trying to make it really detailed, show you everything as clearly as possible. There will be kind of longer videos, about an hour and a half to 2 hours for each of those Saturday session recorded videos. Okay, so first 2 classes. So first class, soil regeneration principles. Second class, sorry, let me start over. First classroom session, regeneration principles. Second and third classroom session, soil regeneration. The first Saturday session is going to be a regenerative garden immersion / tour. So we're going to be visiting 2 of the gardens that I've created over the last 10 years and seeing, what is the, physically, like, what are we talking about? Like, what is a regenerative garden? What is it? What might it look like? What kind of plants might it include? What's the feel like? That's the first Saturday session. Then we're going to come back in the classroom. We're going to talk about water. Water and soil are the husband and wife of earth. So we're going to talk about water. How does water fit in with soil? How can we, through our gardening practices, bring water back into our landscapes? Clean water, water harvesting. We're going to talk about all that. We're also going to see a lot of those water harvesting practices on the regenerative garden tours. Then we're going to be going into trees. We're going to be talking about trees, perennial plants. How can we take care of trees? How can we, what trees can we plant? When's the best time to plant trees? We're going to go over these very, in depth one day, everything that we need to know about growing, caring for trees. Also, part of this class will always be that kind of spiritual element. So we're going to be sharing stories about trees in our lives, how they've affected us, relationships that we've had with trees. So I don't want this class is not a purely practical it's not an instruction manual. This class is going to be more about reforming our relationship with Earth and all of the cousins that we have here. So it's how do we enter into that, like I said, mutually nourishing relationship with everyone, including trees. The second Saturday session, we are going to be hands-on doing all of the soil regeneration practices. So we'll be talking about things like composting at home, different ways of composting at home, worm composting, bucket composting for patios and balconies, compost piles, lasagna mulching. How do we use those products that we're creating? How do we use the compost in our garden? All of that. Then going back in the classroom, we will be covering garden design. Okay, so it's after we've gone through all of these major key elements, the soil regeneration, water regeneration, trees, permanent plantings, then we take all of that, we pull all of those together, and we start talking about garden design, design principles, and really like what is the feeling that we're trying to create through our garden. That's an important piece. When we're creating a garden, we really have to look into ourselves and see, I think for most of you that are joining the course, you probably know that, yeah, you want to grow some food, right? That seems to be like a unifying a goal for most people in this class. So yeah, we know that we want to grow food at home, but what else do we want? Because there's so many ways, there's so many types of food that we can grow. There's so many ways to grow food plants. But what else? What would really bring us that connection to that garden, so that when we go out into the garden, we find healing, and when we go out, and also when we go out in the garden finds healing. So we want, again, that mutually nourishing relationship, and really seeing ourselves as part of the garden, not seeing ourselves as an outsider, not seeing ourselves as the controller, the master of the garden. We're not the master designers. We're not the master implementers. We're just another being in the garden. So how would we design a garden with that idea? And even when we're talking about design, it's just, this is a co-design. This is not a master plan that I create. I'm learning from the plants, from the animals that I live with, from my family members. How do we collectively design this garden and create something that we all can feel healthy in? Then the final class and the final Saturday session will be on annual gardening, vegetable gardening. So that one we'll be getting more into just the practical aspect of growing vegetables at home. So we'll be learning about where to get seeds, how to start those seeds, how to make the potting soil to start the seeds in, how to then transplant those plants out in the garden, how to take care of the soil specifically in our vegetable growing areas, and why we need specifically vegetable growing areas, how to transition from one season to another, how to take the winter crops out, how to put the summer crops in, how to take care of those plants during the season. So those are the ideas that we'll be covering in those last two sessions. So just overall, through the whole course, we're going to get a really nice overview of all of the concepts, practices that we need to make a regenerative garden. And this is not, what I'm not going to say is that by the end of this class, you are going to be, the most proficient, advanced gardener that you know. Gardening is like anything. It requires practice, it requires experience. So what I'm going to try to do is get you over some of the hurdles that you might have coming into this class, some of the fears that you might have coming into this class. A lot of people will say, oh, I can't garden, I have a brown thumb. And what I say in response to that is, if you have a brown thumb, start composting. Start taking all of those plants that you think are dead, that you think are waste, that you wasted your time and you wasted your money, and start composting those plants and putting that compost into your soil. And I will guarantee you that if you do that, if you kill enough plants and you compost them, your brown thumb is going to turn green. Okay, so everyone is going to leave this class with a green thumb. There's no such thing as no one has a brown thumb. That's a myth. It's a lie. We're all here. We're all the descendants of gardeners. So we're just going to reconnect with that, with our ancestry, with that wisdom that we haven't been connected to, but it's not lost, it's not forgotten. We just gotta reach back and kind of, you know, open our ears up and take a look around and remember. Yeah, so let me just see if there's anything else I want to mention. So you'll be joining this class through Zoom, just like if you're taking the class. Well, anyways, Wednesday sessions are all going to be through Zoom. So if you're on here on the webinar, you'll be joining us in a similar way, except I'll be able to see your face. Everyone will be able to see you. If you want to turn your camera on, I'll be able to interact with you online. You'll be able to ask questions, participate during the online sessions. You'll have access through all of the course materials through another online platform called Teachable. So the curriculum will be posted there. The weekly slide decks will be posted there. You have access to those. Like I said, the curriculum, 88 pages long, the slide decks for every week. You have access to that indefinitely. You have access to all of these recordings. All the classes will be recorded. You have access to those recordings indefinitely. The Teachable platform is there indefinitely. So all of this material, it's just, you know, once you sign up, it's all there for you. You can always go back and access anything from the course. Yeah, so everything is there for you. Okay, so yeah, let's open it up for questions. I see a question here. The chat. Okay, yeah, so the question, will there be a potential for small group interaction? Yes, that's definitely something that's built into the course. What we'll do is a few times during every Wednesday classroom session, I'll be breaking you out into groups on Zoom. So Zoom has this feature where I can kind of put 2 or 3 of you into groups together. And then we'll have some, you know, discussions, some storytelling, some brainstorming, some problem solving. So you're going to meet other people that are in the course, and we are trying to develop a sense of community around the course participants. We have a Facebook group that you'll be asked to join once the course is over. We're also working on having follow-up sessions, so like follow-up Zoom sessions where past participants can join and we can kind of just chat and discuss. Okay, I got some more questions coming in. Will the program cover items like lawn or grass care for soil improvement? We will not specifically be talking about lawn or grass care in especially in a residential context. We're going to be talking about soil regeneration. You can take these soil regeneration practices and apply them to a lawn, but I'm not specifically going to be talking about that. I'm just not trying to encourage people to keep too much of their lawns. You know, I really encourage people to remove as much of their lawn as possible, but there are certain situations, you know, we want to have a little picnic area, that's fine. I mean, that's wonderful. You want to have a little grass for your kids to play in, your dogs to play in. Yes, have some lawn and use these practices to make the lawn healthy. We're going to be spending a lot more time talking about soil regeneration in other contexts because it is a lot. It's a whole process, a whole different process to keep lawns healthy, especially in an urban context where we don't have animals grazing on the grass. So we're going to focus a lot more on, you know, other plants, trees, perennials, and how they can help us build soil. Another question here. Will scholarships be open for this course at a further date? We are working on the scholarships for this course. We've had a little bit of just organizational, just, you know, as an organization, we've had some hiccups in leading up to this course where we didn't get the scholarship information out in time. So if you don't get the opportunity to apply for a scholarship this time, we will definitely have it next time. If you really feel like you need a scholarship and you need to take the course this time, this session, please email us. You can email gardening@kisstheground.com, or you can email me directly, rishi@kisstheground.com, and we'll see what we can do for you. Okay, any other? Consider not using Facebook. There are so many other good choices. Yeah, we're aware of that. It's something we're working on. It's just so far that's been the platform that most people are familiar with, and we're definitely open to suggestions as to what else we can do. Is this course mainly for beginners? No, absolutely not. There have been, we've done this course twice before, and we've had very experienced gardeners take this course. A lot of what we're going to talk about is really outside of the normal discussion of a gardening course. So even if you've taken a permaculture design course, even if you've taken many organic gardening courses, I will contend that this will be a valid and expansive experience for you, and a course that you really enjoy. And that being said, we have a refund policy. I think it's listed on the Teachable page. So if you're dissatisfied with the course and you tell us in the the period of time that we allow, then you can get a full refund. So you can go through the first day, see if you like what what I'm talking about and how I talk about it, and then decide for yourself. All right, got another. I love your intention of food from body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Yeah, part of this course is really looking at the world, looking at the earth, looking at our gardens from this whole view, and starting for this. I like to say that in most of our society and most of our culture, we start from the our beginning viewpoint is that things aren't connected. We have this assumption that things aren't connected, and then when we find connections, they kind of like startle us, and we get like, and it's like a new discovery. Like recently, one of the things that I've been following along with is this discovery that your gut health affects your mental health. And it's like, oh, this is such a new idea. And that's if you start from the point of view that your body is not whole, and that if I hurt my hand, it's not going to affect my head, and if I hurt my head, it's not going to affect my hand. If you start from that viewpoint, then your gut is connected to your mind. What a mind-blowing idea. But we're going to start from the opposite. We're going to start from the assumption, the clear, and this is not just an assumption, but this is like something that's very easy to see in your own life, whether you're gardening or not. We're going to start from the view that everything is whole and everything affects everything. So yes, if I don't treat my gut well, my mind is going to not function that well. And we're going to, if I hurt my hand, it's like my whole body hurts, right? It affects me, it affects every part of me. If I don't treat the soil well, then it affects me. If I cut down forest, it's going to affect my lungs. I don't need a research to tell me that. I don't need a study on that. I don't need anyone to tell me that. If I cut down a forest anywhere on this planet, then it's affecting my lungs. It's personally affecting me. If I'm polluting the ocean, it's affecting me. If I'm drinking, everything comes back to us. So that's a key thing of this class. We're going to start from the idea, from the truth that everything is whole. That I am whole, you are whole, and we're all part of bigger wholes, bigger and bigger whole beings. Okay, any more questions? We have 15 minutes left. I know I started a little bit late. Apologize for that. But go ahead and send any questions. Okay, Q&A. Okay, oh, actually, I didn't see this earlier. If I have to miss part of the live sessions, will there still be opportunities to ask questions, interact? Going to be out of the country in February. So yeah, so if you miss the live sessions, number one, you're going to watch the recordings after that. If let's say you miss 1 week and you're going to make it the next week, I always start the class with a Q&A, so you can always ask questions about the week you missed then. And then on Teachable, we have a forum. There's a discussion thread on Teachable, so you can ask questions anytime. Anytime you're looking over the material, you just leave a question there, and I will follow up and answer your questions. So yeah, we're really trying to make this as accessible for people as possible. Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, whatever your schedule is like, we're trying to make this as flexible as possible. At the same time, we're trying to make this course very genuine and have a really grounded sense about it, so that you can get some of that nourishment that we're trying to offer. Okay, another question here. How long will we have access to the materials? Yeah, so you'll have access to the materials indefinitely, as long as I've been telling people, as long as the internet exists, then you'll have access to these materials. The videos are uploaded, private to a private page that we have on the Kiss the Ground website. So all of the videos will be there. You just have to log in to our regenerative gardening student hub on the Kiss the Ground website. Once you log in there, you'll be able to see all the videos. And then on Teachable, the curriculum, the slide decks, it's all there for you. Okay, there's still 32 of you here, 34 of you here. So please go ahead and send your questions. We still have 10 minutes left. Trying to think of more. Okay, there we go on the chat. Cost of the course. Yeah, it's listed there on the registration page. It's $200 for the online course, the purely online course. If you're in LA, you can join us for the outdoor Saturday sessions, then it's $300. Yeah, so it's honestly like the amount of just information that you're getting for that price. I mean, I spent literally like 3 or 4 months writing the curriculum. It's very in-depth. I wrote it because I don't like people taking notes in class. I just feel like rather than you sitting and trying to write down everything I say, I'd rather have you participate and be part of the discussion. So I really tried to put almost everything in the curriculum so that you don't need to, you just can, maybe add on any specific things you want to write down, but almost all, I feel like 95% of what you need to know is already in the curriculum. Okay, more questions. Okay, that's just a comment over there. Let's check the Q&A. How much of this will be able to apply? How much of this will we be able to apply as urban dwellers? A lot. This is this course is it's definitely geared towards people in an urban or a suburban setting. If you're in a rural area, all of this is going to apply to you as well. You just have the opportunity to take all these ideas and just kind of blow them up onto a larger space. But we're going to talk about balcony gardens. We're going to talk about patio gardens. We're going to talk about small space gardens, suburban gardens. I'm going to give you tools and practices to use at every scale. My experience my experience teaching, and not just teaching, but actually creating gardens, is on multiple scales. So actually, I didn't even share anything about myself, so I should have done that at the beginning. So I'm an urban farmer myself. I'm actually here at my farm in Pomona, California, on the east end of Los Angeles County. So I run a small half-acre urban farm here. I also have a nursery over here, so you can see a lot of my plants that I have for sale around me here. So I've worked at this scale. One of the gardens that we're going to visit is called the Growing Home. That's the garden at my parents' house in the neighboring city. And that is the suburban scale. I've worked many years on that garden at that suburban scale. And now personally, I live in a condo, and I have kind of a decent sized patio. So, but no soil, it's just an all concrete patio. And so I've been recently learning and expressing how these ideas play out on that patio balcony scale, that small scale. And it's the same principles apply. The practices change a little bit. So that again, so we're going to talk a lot about the overarching principles, and then from those principles we're going to derive the practices, and the practices are going to change depending on your specific context. Okay, so it's not a regenerative garden is not okay, I need to do this. It's not a checkbox. Like I can't say I need to do this, 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 and this. Like if I need to compost, have bees, plant trees, have water harvesting, and have worms. Like all of those things together don't make a regenerative garden. Why? Because maybe that's too, maybe you have a job, maybe you have kids. So you start trying to add all of these things to your garden, and it just becomes overwhelming. And instead of you going out and finding relaxation and healing and rejuvenation and regeneration in your garden, you find stress, and you just find a to-do list and a task list and another thing to do, and it's just stressing you out more. That's not regeneration, because it's not healing us. And if we're not healing us, then we're not healing the earth. We have to heal the whole. So it's really about how creating a garden that is healing for you and for the earth. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, there's more questions here. Oh no, I answered these ones. Okay, 5 more minutes. So any last questions here? Go ahead and put them on. I'll say a little bit more about my experience, my personal experience, until I have a question. So, like I said, I've run an urban farm. I used to run this CSA vegetable CSA box operation out of this farm. Now I run the nursery. I've been teaching gardening as long as I've been practicing gardening, which is about 10 years. I started with working on a community garden while I was in college. Then during and after college, I went to stay at an organic farm in India. That's where my family's from. So I've actually plowed fields with bulls, planted rice, harvested wheat, and then since then I've been practicing gardening in this urban world of LA, and it's been definitely a huge learning experience. I can't say I've stopped learning. It's been very difficult. There's been a lot of challenges. Urban gardening definitely comes with its unique set of challenges. There's all sorts of ordinances and laws and neighbors, and there's lots of coexisting influences on your garden. So, and we're going to talk about some of that during the class. So it's not just about the soil. Like we have to have, because anytime we say that, oh, that's not part of my garden. Well, your garden is a whole that's part of another whole. So you have to kind of see everything as part of your garden. All the laws, all the utilities, all the whatever's going on that can influence your garden as part of your garden. Okay, I got a questions here. Could this be applied to Canadian or colder climate gardening? Yeah, absolutely. Some of the timings will change. Some of the types of plants that you're going to grow are going to be different. So we're not really going to, I'm not going to, like this class, there's no prescription I'm giving. So I'm not going to say, you need to plant these trees. You need to plant these plants. It's, generally, how do we take care of a tree? How do we take care of the soil? How do we take care of water? Those things don't change no matter where you are. Some of the specific practices will change. What trees are you going to plant? That's going to depend on where you live. That's going to depend on your climate. So, that kind of information that kind of knowledge you're going to have to look for after this class and see where I live. What do other gardeners grow? What are the fruit trees that grow here? What are the plants that grow? What are the native plants in my area that I can grow? So, yeah, I think wherever you are, you'll find this class helpful. Okay, another question here. I live in Sweden, and so I'll miss all live sessions. Is there any way to interact with you and other students? I am interested in helping cities apply more soil regeneration and already work to support more people to start with urban farming in my city. Will there be a part of this course that are relevant for this too? Okay, first question was another way to interact with me and the students. Yeah, so like I mentioned, on Teachable, you'll be able to write comments, and I'll be able to answer respond to those comments or your questions, and everyone else can see those too. So there's definitely an opportunity to have that discussion on Teachable. And then the second part of your question was, I'm interested in helping cities apply more soil regeneration. Are you working to support more people to start with urban farming in my city? Will there be a part of the course? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this course is, we're going to be talking about so many different soil regeneration practices. And, I'm trying to cover different practices that will work in different contexts. So, I'll say it again that, if you're in a patio, you're going to learn something that's useful for you. If you're in a small space, you're going to learn something that's useful for you. If you're working on a community garden, you're going to learn something that's useful for you. I'm giving you a broad outlook because our contexts actually change really rapidly, especially in urban areas, right? Like I went from, I was living with my parents, had a big suburban garden. Now I'm living with my wife, and we have a little patio garden. So your contexts are going to change. I want to give you some of the skills and practices that are useful in all different contexts, because who knows what's going to happen in your life. So you want to have all the knowledge and skills and understanding that you need. Okay, so it is 1 o'clock. I guess I did start a little late. So if anyone wants to ask one final question, I'll give you like a few seconds to type that in. So I'm looking forward to teaching this course again. It's something I really enjoy doing, and something I'm very passionate about. If you want to learn more about me, go you can find me on a few different places online. Instagram, I'm just at Farmer Rishi. That's Farmer R-I-S-H-I. I've been doing some posts recently about this class too, and some of the ideas that we'll be covering in the class. So you can read some of my more recent posts. You can also go to my website, farmerrishi.com. I have some information there. You can see some of my past YouTube videos. YouTube, just go to YouTube, type in Farmer Rishi, and you can see some of my, I made those videos, most of those videos a while back. There's some recent ones, but check those out. That'll also give you a sense of how I talk and my teaching style. Okay, I think there's one last question here. The sign up URL. Okay, that's easy. I can give you that. Just go to kisstheground.teachable.com. Kisstheground.teachable.com. That's TEACHABLE.com. And just click on the regenerative gardening course, and you'll be able to sign up right there. So you can sign up right up, and I encourage you to sign up today. It helps us to know how many people are in the course so we can plan. We really appreciate people who sign up early so we don't all of a sudden have 50 more people than we expected on the last day. So do sign up early, and yeah, we're okay. And I think yeah, we also just posted the link there in the chat. So if you go to the chat, you'll see the sign up link there. Thank you all for joining me for this session. Happy to answer your questions. Looking forward to having you in the class, and really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me and hear our ideas. And I'll hopefully see you next week. Thank you. Have a great day.